episode 72 of Formidable Opponents, a show that pits three people who have known each other virtually their entire lives in a series of conversations as we argue what is best in a variety of fun, engaging, and critical pop culture topics we all debate about. I'm Randall, and with me as always, Bob and Joseph, and this week's topic is Best Musical Artist That Went Solo. Talents breaking away from their groups to start their own personal success journeys is nothing new. As a matter of fact, it's quite common. It's happened to everyone from Tom Brady breaking away from the Patriots, to Will Ferrell leaving Saturday Night Live, to Shawn Michaels turning his back on Marty Jannetty and breaking up the Rockers. Well, that one still stings. In an industry where name recognition, hubris, and personal brand can open doors for you that you never had access to, it's only natural to want to capitalize and bolster your image. This especially happens when you feel you're the talent of the group, the superstar, the paragon. We all know that to provide entertainment means displaying ego, pushing yourself to the forefront. Although oftentimes that confidence can lead to reassurance, it can also lead to acrimony. You're tired of being part of the band. You have something to offer the universe that is uniquely and individually yours, and you find that you're against time and the good of your bandmates, whom you may or may not start to resent. Being in a successful band is probably pretty damn good. For most, it's their absolute apex, their ultimate goal, their identity. However, conjoint identity is a crux for some. Some artists hope for something more freeing, personal, something that is uniquely and individually them. You see, being in a band is a shared value. It's contemplating the good, the democracy, its decisions, its derision. It's a pain sometimes. The worst thing a talented person can ask themselves is, did I do everything I was capable of? I, not we. This week on Formidable Opponents, we debate best musical artists that went solo. As always, I am joined by two guys who felt betrayed when they found out Michael McDonald left the Doobie Brothers, and even more disappointed when they later found out that they weren't really brothers. Bob and Joseph, how are you guys doing?
Yamo be there. I'm still full from Thanksgiving, so yes. It's been one of those weekends, man.
Did somebody say doobie?
How was y'all's Thanksgiving? Just kicking it off.
Well, it was full of laughter and disappointment, and mostly in myself, but so it went pretty well. No, I had a good time. There's a lot of great football games. Got a lot of great food. Had that bourbon chocolate pecan pie. Joseph had some yesterday. Joseph, was it good? Yes.
It was very good.
It was very good. Yeah, thank you. It was a lot. It was really relaxing. I had a lot of time off and got to spend it with some good friends. Got to see the World Cup.
Yes.
It was a really good, relaxing weekend, and I probably should have gone on more runs.
Food was good. Football victory. Football huck it, chuck it. Sorry. Food was good. I'm always happy when the Cowboys win. They don't ruin my Thanksgiving. Very, very, very full that day. Ate probably way too much, but I did it early, and then I didn't eat anything else for the rest of the day, so that's good. I'm happy about that. I finally had some leftovers yesterday. Looking forward to the Christmas and New Year's, because those will I'll have like 2 4-day weekends in a row again, so that'll be pretty nice. All in all, good times.
So guys, getting straight to it, hypothetical question here. You're in a successful band. What are some of the reasons that would make you want to go solo? What do you guys think?
Nobody listens to my ideas. I think a lot of it has to do with like sometimes it's difference of opinion. Sometimes it's the artists themselves. They evolve, and they or one of them does. They evolve, and they want to change their style of music, their sound of music, and some of the other bandmates. Usually the case is they're like, why, if we're already successful doing X, Y, and Z, why would we want to do something different? And I think a lot of it has to do with the creative differences. Sometimes they just end up hating each other, kind of like Eddie Van Halen and David Lee Roth, but. I think a lot of it has to do with creative differences, man. And usually ego sometimes plays a big role in that. I could see a lot of that, or we have seen a lot of that. So usually that comes to mind for me.
I think if you're in a band or a group or something like that, a situation like that, and certain bandmates never pay for drugs, not once, I think. I mean, I can see why, but. No, I agree with Bob. I had ego. I wrote down ego as probably the biggest thing. Creative difference. Yeah, I didn't think of that until now, Bob. That's another good one. But for me, it's probably ego, and I'd probably say look no further than Kiss for that. I blame more Gene Simmons for that, but because that guy, that motherfucker thinks very highly of himself. But it was probably him that kicked off that whole. I mean, they did the 4 solo albums, even though they weren't really like. I mean, technically, if you look at them, they're solo albums supposedly, but some of the other band members came out on the quote unquote.
I hate to interrupt you, but as soon as I did look at him when it's makeup off, I mean, I completely lost my mind.
I mean, yeah, there was that whole thing. Like, I'm sure everybody. If somebody had the bright idea, it was probably Gene, I believe, if I remember correctly, said, well, we should do solo albums and see who sells the most. So, I mean, that really, for me, it's probably the ego is the biggest one, but I can understand creative difference. That's a close second.
I'm with you boys on this one. I think ego has a lot to do with it. I think sometimes it's when you start to believe your own hype, when you start getting other, groups that like your subgroups, like you're hanging around with your friends, you're hanging around with hangers on, your publicists, etc. And you start thinking, I'm the real talent of this group. I'm not getting my cut. I could write songs as well as when those royalty checks come in and you see what the writers who are / singers or guitarists make, you're like, I want to make this kind of money.
The bass is just as important as the lead guitar.
So I think it's all about the spotlight. I think it's all about ego. Now you got some name recognition out there. Now people know who you are. So you want to venture on your own and sort of test the water. So I think you guys nailed it 100%. As you were doing your research, was there anyone you thought should have not gone solo? Whether you thought they were better with a band or it was just a bad career decision?
Gene Simmons. No. No, I David Lee Roth is a great showman, but whenever I think of David Lee Roth, I don't think of his solo stuff. I think of what he did with Van Halen, and I'm going to say this will probably piss off a lot of people. I think of Sting as well with the Police. Like a lot of his music. Think of like somebody who's like, I forgot. I was looking at lists and seeing, who these big time solo artists that kind of took a break from their band and went solo. And Sting was at the top of a lot of people's lists, and I was like, I don't know any of his songs that he made as a solo artist. I know a fuckload of them with the Police, but I mean, by himself, I don't know.
Fields of Gold. That's the only one we know.
And we don't even know the lyrics. I just made shit up right now.
He does the old he mumbles his words type of thing. Sting, I love Sting. I love Sting in the Police, and I love the music that they made. I just don't know him as a solo. Like, he's magical. Well, what are some fucking songs, man? I don't know any of the songs, but that's just me. What about you, Joe?
I didn't think really anybody major. I thought when I was doing the research and the people that we selected and the people that I listed as some honorable mentions, in the end it just worked out. I mean, could they have gone? Yeah, it did. Yeah, it didn't even matter because it worked out for them. True, some of them could have stayed together, and they have reunited as the time has passed and for tours and whatnot. But I think if I have to pick somebody, I probably would say the Beatles. I know if they just haven't no, imagine a world where the Beatles didn't fucking break up. You'd be even happier right now.
Yeah,
there'd be no wars.
There'd be no wars. Imagine there's
I just think like if they hadn't, if it wasn't a breakup, I don't know if you can see, but then again, I don't know if you can use that because they broke up and then solo artists did, and then they, Paul and Lennon did what they did, and Harrison and Ringo, they all did what they did, but they did that because there was no Beatles anymore. It's not like, John or Paul just said, fuck this, I'm out. And the band, they all had great careers, but just imagine.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. This is going to be an argument.
Nothing you can't imagine.
For a future, it's going to be something for a future argument or debate or show, but which is the worst Beatles solo artist? And I used to think it was Ringo, and I think I'm wrong, and I'm going to get a lot of shit for this, but John Lennon, I cannot get into any of his music after the Beatles. Besides,
I agree. No, I know. I agree, dude. I agree.
Like all this shit he did with Yoko, like every other song was about Yoko. I'm like, Jesus Christ, bro, she must be immaculate in the sack.
John's coasting with Imagine. It's like, I mean, he's that. I mean, honestly, I don't think it's an art. I think Paul's had the most successful career because he had a great band afterwards, and then But I can't. Well, you know, I got a career afterwards. I sung with Linda, and I went by myself and sang with Michael. He brought all the rights to my songs, you know. But anyway,
getting better. Terrible.
Sorry about that. And it's even worse that we tied England in the World Cup, whoever. You know, anyway, my selections, I had Steve Perry leaving Journey. I don't know if he left them or I think it was an acrimonious split. I thought he was incredible as a lead singer of Journey. I think there was a time, and I'm old enough to remember this, probably from 1980 to about 1983, they were the biggest band in the world, or one of the biggest bands in the world. And he sang Oh Sherry, and I think Foolish Love is another hit song he had as a solo artist, but should have never left the band. They should have never broken up. Peter Cetera leaving Chicago. Although, Joseph, what did he give us as a solo artist? Could you name the song that Peter Cetera gave us?
We're so good together. What's that one called?
Come on, Glory of Love.
Oh, yes. You're right. Sorry.
So, I mean, I think Glory of Love.
But that one that I was just trying to remember right now, which like sang horribly. Yes, I understand. That's another good one. It came out in a commercial, and it was a funny commercial too. One, it was a good song. I'm not gonna get into the commercial. It'll take too much time. But it was a funny commercial. It's just about ladies loving Peter Cetera.
Is there somebody that you feel like this is sort of I guess handcuffed to this question? Is there somebody you felt that would have had a better career going as a solo artist? I have two in mind that didn't do much as a solo artist, but is there anybody?
Who'd you have?
I had Deborah Harry from Blondie, because Blondie was just an amazing band. I was listening to them on my run today. Clem Burke, a sick drummer. They had such a good. They're at least 10 songs deep for me. I love Blondie, but Deborah Harry, I don't remember anything she did. And my second example is Brandon Flowers from The Killers, because I love The Killers. And Brandon Flowers came out with a Crossfire. I don't know if you guys remember the video with Charlize Theron.
It used to be an old game. Crossfire. You remember that in the 90s?
Crossfire is a great song. It's one of my. It's the only Brandon Flowers song that I really know. And I thought, okay, he's off to a good start. Let's see where he goes from here. Reunited with the Killers, no complaints here. But those two are that come to mind that I thought they would have bigger careers, but faltered out. What about you guys? Anybody come to mind?
I'm more thinking about
bands who should have never broken up.
Yeah. One name that I did see an artist who and I particularly wasn't a fan, but what are they? B2K? Omarion and B2K. Okay. Yeah. So they were fucking huge when we were in our early 20s, late teens, early 20s. R&B, I don't want to say hip hop, but a little bit group. They were pretty fucking successful. They broke up, and I think Omarion had a decent career. He came out on lists when I was looking up, and I was like, no, and I couldn't really, there was nothing really for me to talk about him, because I thought, well, shit, if B2K never broke up, they might. I mean, at this point, I don't know, but
they'd be around today.
I don't think Omarion had that big of a career as a solo artist musically. I think he did movies and whatnot, but he kind of did movies with his former bandmates. So I don't know. That's probably all I can think of.
Anybody, Bob?
No, Joey Fatone should have had a bigger career. Screw you.
So you kind of alluded to my next question, guys. When you think of bands that will never break up or should never break up, what are some of the bands that come to mind? Like, they would never produce a solo artist if they called it quits. I got two, AC/DC and Aerosmith. I don't see anybody leaving that band and becoming a big star.
Well, I mean, Aerosmith, Steven Tyler could do whatever the fuck he wants alone, and he'd probably still get some pretty good recognition. I think big bands like AC/DC, I could see that. Maybe a band like Metallica. I mean, I couldn't see like Kirk Hammett separating and doing his own thing. Like, it'll always be Metallica to me. Let me see. Let me think. Joseph, go for it.
I will, just to piggyback off that, I think as long as it's Lars and James, because I mean, they've replaced bass players have come and gone because of situations, and they continue. So it's not it's more those two. If one of those two leaves, then there is no Metallica. If Kirk decided to leave one day, they'd probably find a replacement. It would suck, but anyway.
How dare you? No, fuck no. Kirk is the band. It's a trio.
Well, I'm just saying I wouldn't doubt it. It's kind of hard because going back to what you said of Aerosmith, And I agree. Steven Tyler, all he needs is a good band. He can release music on his own. He still can sing. It's the singer that I think of bands that will always, as long as they're not doing anything so fucking crazy, so fucking different from what they did, they'll be all right because they're the singer. They can sing as long as they have some other band. I mean, Slash has kind of been doing his thing for years and he doesn't sing, and that's cool. He gets that fucking dude, I can't remember his name, who has the balls to say like Slash and featuring whatever his fucking name is. I can't remember what his name is. It sucks.
I think that Slash is a really good point. Slash is one of those guys that he went solo to do his own fucking thing, and no matter what he did, he was successful. You know, Axl Rose tried to do the same thing, and he sucked. So he had to try to reclaim the Guns N' Roses name just so he could sell records or whatever he tried to do, even without Slash, and didn't really work out for him. So I think Slash, that's a great pick right there, Joe.
I think Wes Borland, the guitar player for, because I was gonna say, because I said the singer, as long as the singer's still doing something that's not too out of his too crazy, then they'll be fine. It's when you got like the bass player or the drummer who didn't sing, or the guitar player who never sang, and suddenly they're starting a band. Well, but then it worked for Foo Fighters, so it's like, I don't know. It worked for Dave Grohl.
You got talent. I mean, Aaron Lewis went to country.
Not everybody can sing. That's the thing. I was gonna say but real quickly going back to what I was saying, I think Wes Borland is a truly very talented guitar player. He's a guitar player for Limp Bizkit. I think he's way above their style. Their sound. If you watch him play the guitar, just play the guitar. He's really fucking awesome. He has his own solo thing called Black Light Burns, and he's the singer. And I think they're cool. I think he's got an underrated singing voice. And so, is it as successful as Limp Bizkit? No, but
they were successful.
They were.
Tom Morello, you didn't mention Tom Morello. I think Tom Morello.
See, that's another one too, dude. Yeah,
he wasn't the lead singer, but man,
he doesn't need to sing.
He created his own brand. I mean, he can sing okay.
No, he can.
He's an amazing guitarist and artist, and very smart individual.
But he doesn't. But the thing, and yes, he can, Bobby. You're right. He can sing, but he doesn't need to. He is his own.
He's the band.
He is his own name and band. You join Tom Morello's band, and he can have a hired gun as a singer, or somebody, he can release an album with different artists singing songs, but that's fucking Tom Morello's band. That's his style. That's his music. That's the way he plays. So there's a lot of, variables to that type of question.
I think we could all be thankful that Bono never went solo, because he would be so insufferable if he doesn't have like the edge, or if he doesn't have any of the bandmates start to playing him out. He would be talking for about half an hour.
Why do you think Edge uses all those electronics and all those different pedals and sound effects? He's trying to drown out Bono from talking. They're like, he only hits one chord, but that chord he does enough of it to shut up Bono to get him going. Hola.
And he talked for 25 minutes about the children. Okay, so we're going on to the honorable mentions.
Paul was better.
Paul was better. I'm going to cut that Bono impression out.
Yeah, we need to put that on a shirt. Paul was better.
Let's go on to our honorable mentions, guys. Who do y'all have for your honorable mentions for best artists who left a band?
I'll go first. It's a quick list. I got Ice Cube and Dr. Dre, both very successful on their own. Left NWA, both did very great. I got Gladys Knight dropping the Pips. She's doing her own thing. Good for her. I had Paul McCartney because I think he's the most successful of the four, and he has the better career. Even though and we already talked about it.
I got fine. Don't say even though. Just leave it alone.
Can I go back on Gladys Knight real quick? Bob's dad introduced me to Midnight Train to Georgia, and that's a fucking amazing song.
It is.
You're welcome. I'm gonna sure to tell him. Ran brought up Gladys Knight and the Pips, Midnight Train to Georgia.
I also got Gwen Stefani, obviously, and I have Phil Collins.
Phil Collins in the air tonight. I like it, dude. I have Paul McCartney as well. Ozzy Osbourne, who I think was extremely. There you go, Joseph. You dropped the ball there, bro. Eric Clapton, leading Derek and the Dominoes and Cream, and doing his own thing. It was fantastic. I also have George Harrison, another Beatle that was just amazing. Chris Cornell doing his solo thing, I thought was extremely amazing. His acoustic stuff, really good. And I know we talked about him a couple of weeks ago. Scott Weiland leaving the band and kind of doing his own thing, his solo career in the Wild Thoughts.
I'm sorry, I didn't look too into too many artists because I didn't want to do a big list. But thank you for mentioning these people, Bob, because they would be on my list.
Hey,
appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Hey, hive mind.
Hive mind. Yeah, so I mean, those guys for sure. There was a lot. I mean, Gwen Stefani. I know I read Gwen Stefani. Dr. Dre, Ice Cube were definitely on my list. There's a lot of there's a lot. I really do think, but I think the core at the core of it, I think these handful were the best of the best.
And of course, I have your all selection. I would have your all selections on my list too, but we'll get into that.
My what?
I did have Sting on here, but then again, you made a point, Bob. I mean, he's been riding Field of Golds like the Iron Sheik did during his one WWF title run. I remember where I was when the Police broke up, and I remember feeling very heartbroken over it because the Police was a great band. I mean, they had hit after hit, but yeah, Sting going solo, and then they came back for that Money run like in 2009 or whatever. But yeah, they should have never broken up. I had every Beatle. Eric Clapton, I had Diana Ross, Darius Rucker leaving Hootie and the Blowfish and going country.
I knew you were gonna mention that, and I almost wrote him down. But for the simple fact is, when you think of Hootie and the Blowfish, it's only Hootie, bro. Everybody only knows Darius Rucker from that fucking. So when he went solo, it's like it's just you, bro. You just told everybody to go like play a little more country style.
Darius Rucker is phenomenal. I had Harry Styles after he left One Direction.
You and that one Harry Styles song.
Okay,
who is this? This sounds like Pink Floyd. Jesus Christ.
Harry fucking Styles. I get the young people now.
I'm gonna play. If I played you a Pink Floyd song you never fucking heard, you'd be like, "Is this Harry Styles?" No.
And I was gonna be a dick and be like, I bet you don't know any of Darius Rucker's songs other than "Rock Me Mama Like a Wagon Wheel," which is and then Joseph got into Harry Styles and good serves you right, sir.
I'm just fucking with you, man.
No, it's funny. Good soundbite. Okay,
Floyd, I mean, go for it. Just listen to him.
You guys cannot debate this one. All right, this one's unassailable. George Michael. What do you guys think about him as a solo artist?
Yeah. I mean, he's so popular back then.
I mean,
I like what he did after Wham more than what he did with Wham. You know what I mean? It was a little more. I mean, Last Christmas though, Joseph.
I knew it. I knew, motherfucker. I knew it. I was about to say. I think this is a subtle fucking jab at me,
Joseph.
I was like, Randy's saying this as a subtle jab at me because you paid attention to our stories on Instagram recently.
You gotta have faith. Oh, that was all me, by the way. That was all me. They were playing it.
Yeah, I know. Randy was adding to it. I was like,
yeah. If Randy had one of those dangling earrings, I mean, you could have definitely been in the fucking music video.
For context, and you guys should check it out. We did an episode last year, worst Christmas song. Ironically enough, next week's episode is going to be best Christmas song. And I almost said George. Joseph selected
George.
Joseph selected
George now. So you ever making fun of Harry Styles, bro? He's coming at you.
He came back at me. He did.
Joseph selected George Michael's "Last Christmas" as the worst Christmas song.
It's Wham,
I think it's pretty good. Oh, it is Wham.
It's Wham.
Yeah, it's Wham.
And it's whack.
Yeah. I had Phil Collins as well. You can't go wrong with Invisible Touch, Susu Studio, and what's that song that we like? It's always the same. It's just
that's Genesis though.
Oh, that's Genesis. All right, never
yeah. Well, but no, it goes into what you say because clearly solo artists. Another Day for You and Me in Paradise is just a fucking great song.
It is.
I mean, In the Air Tonight, obviously.
I mean, about us or somebody else?
Some great songs. I have Gwen Stefani here with question marks. To me, all of Gwen Stefani's hits had a collaborative contributor. Eve, Moby, Slim Thug, Andre 3000. Did she ever do anything like on her own that was
Texas tatted on my... Oh, no, sorry.
uniquely Gwen Stefani?
Slim Thug.
Did she do anything on her own? I don't know, man.
I don't know.
I mean...
Hella Good? I don't know.
Holla Back Girl?
Holler Back... Well, is that Eve? Or... No, Let Me Blow Your Mind.
That's Let Me Blow Your Mind.
Yeah.
That was Eve though. That was an Eve song.
And
then the song she did, Rockstar, with Moby's Rockstar song or
Southside
or something.
Southside.
That was his song.
Oh, that was.
I think no. I mean,
I never hear from us, which is the best Moby song of all time. It never.
I remember
it's the one from Heat. Yeah,
I give her props. Her first single, I can't remember what it was. It's like I just remember it being like an Alice in Wonderland theme video. I didn't think it was a bad song. It was obviously
legs though.
It was odd. Well, who wouldn't look at her legs? I mean,
I honestly think once Don't Speak came out, there was no turning back. I think that was the moment she said, I could do this shit without these guys.
Isn't that fucking weird, right? In the video, like, yeah. I mean, they still reunited twice to do 2 albums, didn't they? And I'm sure they can go on tour if they wanted to, and it would be a huge fucking thing, charging people $70 a ticket. Why do all the older artists that we grew up with, like that festival, the Six Sad World one, that me and Bob, like, we were like, let's go to it. It was like,
we're gonna go to Vegas, get those tickets, and he was like, they're like $100 a pop. No, never mind.
We're like, fuck this, god damn it. Sorry.
I love Gwen Stefani. I thought No Doubt was a great band. Tragic Kingdom, excellent album.
That was a great album, man.
I did have Dr. Dre and Ice Cube as well, breaking out of NWA. You could even probably put Eazy-E in that category because he did discover some
my Louisville Slugger.
some talented musicians. Lionel Ritchie, which was my original choice, but I was looking at some of these songs like Easy Like Sunday Morning, 3 Times a Lady, Night Shift, Oh No. These were all songs from the Commodores that he wrote and sang. These aren't Lionel Richie solo artist songs.
Yeah, it's like I got the same thing like from Sting, you know what I mean? Like it's his work, it's his lyrics, it's his voice, but when he went solo, like I couldn't find enough of the solo act. I mean, I fucking love Lionel Richie, man. That he's the man, dude. And he still looks freaking fantastic. Have you seen him?
Great, yeah.
On American Idol? Damn, Jesus Christ. All the ladies still love him.
What do you guys, what do you think is the best Lionel Richie solo song? Is it Hello? Is it No Doubt Hello?
All night long.
Oh no!
But he's got that.
I like Hello, dude. It does it for me.
We've already shared that cover art, but when you hit that lean on the album, like Michael Jackson did for Thriller, and Marvin Gaye did for I forgot what album it was, and Lionel Richie did for his album, and Joe Lopez for Moss when he went solo. You know, I mean, when you hit that fucking lean on the album, you know the album's gonna be fire. You know,
Joe Lopez with a mullet cut.
Shout out to Rico for that one. I know.
Oh, Rico.
All right, guys, we're going to go on to our selection. Joseph, you're up first. Who'd you pick and why?
All right, so I went with Michael Jackson. So obviously, you know, Michael Jackson, Jackson 5 fame, but clearly Barry Gordon knew where the money was. And it was Michael Jackson. I mean, you want to talk about memorable fucking songs, memorable albums, an artist who clearly left his bandmates, in this case family and brothers, in the dust by going on his own. I mean, there is no other. Like, best-selling artist of all time. First, before I get into this, so 4 albums before, with good songs on them. There's memorable songs on them, and at this point they're high-selling albums as well, but maybe not so much at the time. It was young, it was something new, but off the wall. Like I said, 20 million copies sold worldwide. After that, Thriller, 70 million copies sold worldwide. Probably his biggest selling album, or is his biggest selling album. It is. Anyway,
it is.
after that, he had Bad, his album Bad, which to date has sold 35 million worldwide. So those 3 albums alone, that's 125 million albums sold worldwide. That's just those 3 right there, right now. I don't think anyone will ever hit that mark. And if they did, you got to tell me now, because I'm just going by the quick research that I could do. I didn't really go. I didn't try to focus on anything else. But I do want to be clear though. When I say that those numbers, that's Jackson as a solo artist. I understand the Beatles and Elvis are their own thing. Jackson came from Jackson 5, like I mentioned. Elvis was his own thing from the beginning, and the Beatles are the Beatles. So they kind of, you know, match his numbers, but 2 different things. I think currently the Beatles have sold more than Jackson at this point. But like I said, they're a band. Anyway, 8 Grammy Awards in one night. And how fucking crazy is that? He's been inducted in. Yeah, that too. Possibly the 80s, right? Yeah. He's been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice. Now, I understand the other one was with the Jackson 5, but I mean, he's in at least as a solo artist. So that's good. The Super Bowl 27 halftime show. There is probably no better halftime show ever.
It's great.
His sister gave a memorable one too, but go on.
Well, I understand that. Your 2 picks have done halftime shows as well, but yes. I mean, come on, everybody talks about that halftime show. Michael Irvin skipped the entire halftime meeting with because to go watch the fucking performance. He said that he was like, it's fucking Michael Jackson, I'm gonna go watch it. He was outside watching the fucking performance.
They were up by 30 points anyway. That don't fucking matter.
Billie Jean, Michael Jackson's Billie Jean, first black artist music video to be shown on MTV, breaking racial barriers. Indeed, it's sad that it took a while for him to be the first, and I'm glad it opened up the gates after that. Just a few more stats I want to throw out to you guys. I know this is I'm trying not to make it like that, but I mean it is what it is. 13 number one hits on the Billboard Hot 100, 28 top 10 hits on the Billboard 100 while living. To this day, he's had 2 top 10 posthumous. How do you say that? Posthumous. Sorry, yeah. That's to this day he's had 2 posthumous. Yeah, I butchered that word. Entries, 1 billion records sold worldwide. I mean, most successful recording artists, according to Guinness Book of World Records, they're the ones that did the math. I didn't do this, and their math has always been pretty good. They keep track of this shit. 5 solo albums with over 20 million record sales. I mean, I can be here forever. Over 30 minutes at least. I know I just said forever, but I can be here for over 30 minutes going on and on about his list of achievements and whatnot. But I mean, come on, guys. I think I got the one here, and it's the first one. So let me hear it.
All right. So don't worry about mispronouncing posthumous. I mean, don't worry about butchering it, because Michael Jackson's surgeon butchered his nose far worse than you butchered that word. Anyway, leaving the locker room during halftime is probably the least damaging infraction Michael Irvin has done during his time with the Cowboys. We won't go into that. I want to ask you guys this question. Do you guys remember where you were on June 25th, 2009 when you heard Michael Jackson died?
Ooh, I don't remember where I was.
I don't remember where I was. I
probably
remember hearing the news and being like, holy shit, because what happened, yeah, it was pretty.
If it was during the middle of the week, I was at work.
It was, I want to say it was a Thursday or Friday. I remember I had a student worker, and she had told me, she worked in the office. She said, "Hey, Farrah Fawcett died," and I knew she didn't know who Farrah Fawcett was. And I was like, "Oh wow, that's big news." And then like 9 minutes later, she tells me, "Hey, Michael Jackson died," and I was like, "Get the fuck off TMZ! What are you doing?" You know? I mean, sadly enough, I heard it from somebody who had told me during work, and it was rough. It was rough to hear, because Joseph, I will agree, Michael Jackson, he's a once in a lifetime superstar, but I have other opinions on things. I'll get to him later. Everyone will always know who he is, and if you play Thriller, Beat It, and Bad to anyone, those 3 cuts will make you a fan forever. Because I know, because my son loves listening to those 3 songs, as does my daughter. He was a pioneer in running 2 successful career tracks with the Jackson 5 and as a solo artist. The Jackson 5 started in 1964. Michael was like 5 or 6. The kid was belting out Rockin' Robin. I can't even get my kids to pick up the toys. And, this kid was a phenom. And if I'm not mistaken, he wasn't supposed to be the focus of the Jackson 5. It was supposed to be Jermaine, by the way, who has a son named Your Majesty. Anyway, that alone would have made...
Not Tito!
I mean, that alone would have made Father Joe Jackson take away the front seat, because Michael wasn't supposed to be the focus of the band. It was supposed to be Jermaine, who was a few years older. We know what Michael Jackson was. He's probably the best entertainer in the world. Dancing, singing. People are always trying to duplicate him. People are always trying to imitate him. You have to research 2 things for each artist: their solo career and the bands they left behind. So looking back, Michael Jackson had it rough with his father. I mean, Joe Jackson makes Michael Lohan look like Dwayne Wade at this point. You can read about it, but it makes you sort of understand why he never grew up, because he never had a childhood. It was rehearsals, it was travel, it was performances, and his pet rat, Ben. When your kid starts playing with rats, you need to get some help. Now they put him back into practice. Joe Jackson was like, if you can't write and sing a hit song about the motherfucking rat, it's you better stop playing with it. So, it was just insane, the insane pressure he had as a young child, which makes me sad. We know the Jackson 5 had a solid 8-year run till about 1972. Michael carved out his own path and, of course, had the biggest record ever. And it was a 6th record. It was Thriller, and everybody owned it, right? He hit that lean on that one too. My only arguments, Michael was huge, but it took him a few albums. His 4th album, Off the Wall, gave him that launching pad, and of course Thriller made him a phenom. He then comes back in 1984 and rescues his brothers with a Jackson 5 reunion with the Victory Tour. We let Dad treat you like shit, but we have mortgages, Michael. Help us out. So they needed Michael because Tito wasn't going to fill the fucking stadium. I mean, come on. Michael Jackson, again, arguably the best solo act who ever lived, thus making the case for you, Joseph. However, a few things. Was this guy truly happy? We saw after Pepsi fucked up his hair.
Is anyone?
I mean, can you be a true success without true satisfaction and joy? Nothing ever felt like it belonged to him, and that's what made him a very sympathetic character as far as what we saw off stage. Other than the Elephant Man's bones and maybe a merry-go-round or two, what belonged to him, right? His parents used him. His brothers used him. The media ate him up. Pepsi fucked up his hair. He was living in a carnival with llamas, chimpanzees, countless medical doctors fucking up his health, a sham marriage to Priscilla Presley. I mean, remember that kiss? And of course, Blanket. Plus, the man could never sleep. The whole mental breakdown and his weirdness, I think, takes away from, his legacy. Also, are we sure that anything after Bad was good? He had 3 out of the all-time albums, Off the Wall, Thriller, and Bad. But we give him more credit than we do because he dominated a decade. Why are we giving him more credit past the 80s? Lastly, going back to Jermaine, he had a really good 1984. He had a top 20 album, self-titled, because Michael fucked up any hope for his brothers to ever catch their names back. And, tell me that Do What You Do is not one of the best, slow songs of all time. Jermaine Jackson, I recommend it. Do What You Do is a great song. He tried to capitalize too, but I like Michael. I think he was a phenomenal entertainer. I think most people would agree, but I think the backstory, the personal story, and the sadness of his career made me not select him. What do you think, Bob?
Well, Joseph wants to chime in. Go ahead, Joseph. He's been chomping at the bit to get.
Well, I was gonna say, because I forgot to mention, you touched on it, how his family, how he saved his family. I mean, even till the very end, and even after he died, his family was still putting tours together, like the Jackson 5 reunion, remember Michael Jackson tour, and they were charging money to go see them when he's dead.
Opportunists, yes.
Opportunists, yes. Look, I understand all that shit, the personal family drama, the weirdness, the kid-like, I understand that, but when this topic was posed, I equated it. Let's go with that. For me, that topic means career. Everybody has, personal issues. So I didn't look at that. I don't think it taint. I mean, there's a lot of things that probably taint his legacy.
Say taint.
But, career-wise, record sales, memorable performance, albums, songs in general. I mean, they're just, and you said after Thriller, so with Bad had some good songs.
Yeah, Bad was a good album.
The Dangerous album after that. Dangerous had Jam. It had Remember the Time. It had Black and White.
Did that shitty
Heal
song
the World.
with what's the name?
Gone Too
Eddie
Soon.
Murphy.
Yeah, he's still doing his thing.
We're still shitty, Joseph.
Come on, Joseph.
Yeah.
Shimon,
man. Shimon. They were they as successful as Thriller? No, but they were still fucking popular albums. They've still sold. They still had good songs. They're good songs on them. So I mean, I disagree with that. With that after Thriller,
for the amount of money that Michael Jackson made, why was he still wearing white T-shirts and white tube socks? I just couldn't understand that shit.
Bob, what are your thoughts?
First off, I love Little Michael. Okay, so the Jackson 5 is such a phenomenal little upstart for Michael and his career, and yeah, they sang a lot of like these catchy commercial type of songs, and then as he broke off into his solo act, as he became a teen, I mean, he really did take the world by storm. And you talked about album sales and popularity in the Super Bowl. And this is like, again, another once in a lifetime act or singer or performer that he was. It's hard to argue against that specific thing. What kind of considering most child artists or actors or actresses, they rarely become anything as they become adults. And you can look at the track record of a lot of actors and actresses and singers when they're kids. As they get older, the music just doesn't translate. Everybody always sees them as just, that kid actor, that kid singer, or whatever the case is. And Michael successfully, made that transition. And it's crazy considering you said Jermaine was supposed to be the star, and they had Tito. I just like to say Tito, and they had all the brothers there in that group. And Michael stood out as a kid, and as he broke off, I mean, he was the high pitched voice, great kid singer. To come back and to sing a song like Beat It and Thriller, and to do all these crazy dance moves and hip hop and rap and kind of move it into that genre, right? That I found that to be amazing. And there's not much of an argument that I can make other than the fact that after the Bad album, I didn't really like a lot of the stuff he did in the 90s. And then with Macaulay, and then he kind of went into his own little world. What's the name of his Dreamland? What the fuck is it called?
Not Wonderland.
No, Neverland Ranch.
Wait, Neverland. That's from fucking Peter Pan.
That's Metallica. That's what he named it. That's what he named it.
Neverland.
Yeah, it was called Neverland Ranch.
Neverland Ranch. Yeah,
Neverland Ranch. Okay, Neverland Ranch. Yeah. After he did that and all that, he just became kind of different and weird, and I the music just didn't translate for me. I think he had a great sound in the '80s and for the '80s, and the music videos that he came out and were amazing. But I mean, towards the tail end of his career in the '90s, I really didn't. I think he was still living off the big '80s success that he had.
The man sang "Heal the World," sir. Heal the fucking world, bro.
Well, he didn't heal the fucking world. Not with that fucking outfit. He should have.
We wanted to make it a better place for you and for me. All right. Okay. There's children crying, Bob. There's children crying.
He only wore one fucking glove. I just can't believe that. White T-shirt, white socks, and one fucking glove. He couldn't afford the other one.
Neverland also. Neverland also describes my jokes because sometimes they never land. Anyway. Hey, everybody.
Joke of the night, folks.
Try the veal. Okay. Anyway, so we're going on to Bob and his selection. Who do you got for us, Bob?
My picks? Holy shit. Hold on. I wasn't prepared for this.
You ain't bad. You ain't nothing.
I wasn't ready. No, this was kind of, I think I knew exactly who I wanted to pick as soon as we named this topic, and I went with Justin Timberlake. Now, again, here's another guy that came from a completely different genre of music and made a huge splash and became an extremely big success in the hip hop game and in that culture. He started off first off singing on the fucking Mickey Mouse show, or what was it called? The Mickey Mouse show? I want to say
Mouse Club.
The Mickey Mouse Club. I'm sorry, I knew I was saying that wrong. And then he, of course, joined in one of the biggest boy bands of all time, NSYNC. And during that big craze, it was all boy bands and harmonizing and synchronized dance moves and videos and dressing, like it was a whole big fad, right? And as the fad died down in 2001, 2002, as they started dying down, nobody thought these guys would have a career outside of a boy band, because that's what they are. They're a group. They can't separate. They're not going to sound any good. I mean, other than Nick Lachey. Just kidding. I can't think of any guys that tried to do the solo thing that became a huge success. Again, I'm going to get shit on for this. But Justin Timberlake seemed to kind of step out of that realm and kind of create his own style of music. Not only was he not singing boy band bullshit anymore, not only was he not wearing blue jean outfits matching Britney Spears, he decided to grow the goatee, get himself a little fade, and kind of go into that hip hop style of music. And it became this huge success. I can't say that he completely he took what made him famous and ran with it, because that's not exactly what he did. He took a huge risk into going into a different genre of music and kind of not only making it his own, but having hit after hit. When we talk about album sales and records, he had Bringing Sexy Back, Can't Stop the Feeling. He's had Mirrors. He has Cry Me a River. This, I Promise You, Rock Your Body, Suit and Tie, Stay With Me. I mean, he had hit after hit after hit. And this is a completely different genre of music. And I think that goes a long way for him, because to get out of the shadow of these boy band or this boy band label had to be, I mean, you've seen it with everybody else. It's an extremely difficult thing. Anybody who's tried to do anything solo when it comes to this boy band type of music, they all sing songs that are exactly the same as what they would have sounded like if they're still in NSYNC or Backstreet Boys or 98 Degrees or whatever the fuck the case is. So I think it's a really big test to him, because he stepped out of that shadow and kind of became this huge superstar, not only singing and not only performing and acting. I mean, he's just huge all around the world, and he's still making quality, great music today. So I think he stands out, man. I know Michael Jackson was doing that type of music. I mean, it was a similar genre of music for him. When we get to Rand's pick, it's going to be a very similar transition of music for that artist as well. But I think what makes Justin Timberlake and my pick stand out is that he went into a completely different direction and to a different genre, and that and was extremely successful. And I think that's something that makes him stand out.
I like how you kept the theme of former NFL wide receivers. Joseph talked about Michael Irvin, and you started off your point with, hey, here's a guy, Chris Collinsworth style.
Yeah, here's the guy. Yeah, fuck yeah.
You know, Bob, you said he is, or not arguably, the best solo act that came from a traditional quote unquote boy band. What about Harry Styles? That guy's on the come up. I think he's going to bypass.
Hey, no, yeah. You mean Pink Floyd's Harry Styles?
Yes. Okay, so I think.
No, but, I want to say this about Harry Styles. He's making music similar to what he made in his boy band.
All right.
I mean,
Fair
it's
enough.
not like it's not completely different. Like Justin Timberlake was fucking playing club music, hip hop, and he wasn't doing that shit before. He was singing "Bye Bye Bye" with a curly fucking cute hair.
I think Harry Styles is evolving. I mean, he's got some good songs, but it's not about him right now. Anyway, I think anyone who's listened extensively to NSYNC would say Timberlake probably didn't have the best voice in the band. I'll tell you who did. And I told my wife, I go, this guy had the best. And she was like, no. And she was like, by the way, stop saying my wife on the podcast. My name is Jessica. You sound like Borat. My wife.
My wife.
Okay, my wife Jessica, I told her, I go, JC Chazé had the best voice in the band. She disagreed with me. I was like, you got to back me up on this point, but she did it. So anyway,
Who did she say? It
was Timberlake. It was Timberlake.
No.
So JC Chazé. Then it's funny because the notes on autocorrect, they correct his last name to Chavez. So just because he's over 40 with highlighted hair and ripped jeans doesn't make him a Latino. But we'll take him, right? Anyway. JC was their cleanup hitter. I thought he sang all the intros, had all the complicated runs. He had the soul. Timberlake was the guy who harmonized and he could emote better. And I think that's why he became the bigger star. He was a better actor. He probably had a better publicist. And, I'm not one to talk about style, but frosted tips, come on, Botox, ripped jeans at the age of 40, maybe not the best decisions for JC, and that's why
Speaking of 40, what about Joey Fatone?
We'll get to him in a moment. But I don't think Chazé, I don't think he had the best group working for him. He's better though. He looks like a Vegas hypnotist in one of those less than stellar hotels, like the Tropicana. But he's getting better though. Anyway, I think that Justin Timberlake finally decided to leave the band once Joey Fatone started to dye his gray beard red. He was like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? Look at this guy and look at that guy. This one guy has dreads and goggles on his forehead. Why is he wearing a raincoat with overalls and goggles on his head with dreads? What the fuck am I doing with my life? I'm better than these guys. And he was absolutely fucking right. He was better than each of those guys. And I mean, you ever hate and resent people and get tired of people and everything about them annoys you? Like, Joey Fatone would probably burp and fart on the tour bus and laugh. And Timberlake was like, I could be doing so much more with my life than listening to this guy burp and fart on the tour bus. I bet there was a payphone all around the world where Justin Timberlake was calling his mom and saying, I cannot do this anymore. I'm way too talented. I don't want to wear coordinated gold bulletproof vests without an undershirt anymore.
I think that was 98 degrees.
And 88 million records later, he was absolutely right. According to Billboard, he is the best performing male soloist in the history of the mainstream top 40. Kudos to that, right? I give him credit. He rolled the dice and he could have squeezed another year or two from NSYNC. I think so. Is he the best to leave? Almost, but he was the most calculated and he knew who to work with. All that networking and the way he carried himself, he was just different. He had the most charisma. He had the most charm in that group. It seemed like he knew what to do all along. You want me to cry and be sad? I'll do it my way. You need me to dance? I'll be the one grabbing all the attention. I'll be the one stealing the interviews and looking at the camera. He knew what he was doing. He's always been a smooth guy. He's not a bad actor, by the way. And I'll be damned if he isn't just a likable dude. The stuff he's done with Jimmy Fallon, the hilarious videos he's done with Andy Samberg. I mean, he once honored Johnny Cash, which was very cool because he didn't accept the award. He said it belonged to Johnny Cash. I thought that was hands down the coolest thing he's done. He's a funny guy, and he created a brand. No, not that's up there. Okay. He even did the McDonald's jingle, but he's had controversies. The Super Bowl halftime show, the Britney Spears stuff. He really got crapped on in the 2 documentaries this year with the Janet Jackson and Britney Spears documentary. So he did a lot of apologizing and no excuse, no recusing him from anything. Of course, he should be held accountable. He's a grown man who grew up in the spotlight. What if anything you did and everything and everybody you dated was magnified in the public eye? Would you be squeaky clean? I don't think so. So the way he's handled that stuff, I mean, man, tough road to navigate, but he's navigated the child star system well. I'm okay with his music. I know he's very talented and versatile, and he's evolved with his music, but it's just okay with me. Personal preference only. He's talented, but he has had people raise his profile. Britney, Janet, Timbaland. I think he's had a lot of help along the way. And his first solo hit was Cry Me a River. So what did he do? He whined and cried about being dumped, and that's what made him a solo star to begin with. I don't know if I'm okay with that. Joseph, what do you think?
Well, first off, Taylor Swift does that on every album. So I mean, Jesus, if you're knocking on Justin for doing it, I mean, come on. A simple wrong would have sufficed, Ren.
Return of the Mac. He forgets that he chose Return of the Mac, and that's basically Cry Me a fucking River.
Yeah, you know what? That's true. Kind of. You know, I'm Justin Timberlake, boy band Justin Timberlake. I am not a fan. When NSYNC was and the boy band craze was going head to head with the new metal, I'm clearly team new metal. I'm a fucking metalhead. Everybody knows that. Justin Timberlake, the solo artist. Pretty good stuff. Pretty good guy, obviously. We all know he's a good dude. Aside from the stuff that maybe Randy pointed out right now, I'm not going to get into that. We just know him to be, we know he's a good guy. I know Bob mentioned, and I think Randy has too, talked about the whole boy band thing. You know, are they the first one in the history of time? No. You had your wife said it was JC who was better. No, you're saying JC. I'm sorry.
She didn't.
You know what? They both can sing. I think that with every boy band or group like this, even the women group, even the female groups, there's clearly, if it's a 3 or more type situation, there's clearly one or two at least that stand out from all of them. I think NSYNC had that too. The JC guy they were the 2 lead singers. I don't really know any of
Lance Bass, come on, man. How dare you?
Yeah, but the videos
Lance
and the singles, the videos
is all pissed off right now.
The videos and the singles that got released didn't feature them. I know I was told they were featured on the album. There were songs that they were to take the lead, but those weren't the singles. Enough of that. Justin Timberlake is probably the most successful artist to shed that boy band image, that group image, that whatever you want to call it image. Yes, no doubt. This guy, his first album, Justified, there's plenty of good songs on it. Not particularly my cup of tea, but hey, they're good. They groove. They're not the boy band thing. They're, the first one is for, Cry Me a River. Okay. It's about him singing a song about getting dumped. Look who dumped him. Look who cheated on him, or supposedly one of the other biggest fucking pop stars at the time.
It's Britney, bitch.
Exactly. So, I mean, yeah, I would, I understand why he wrote that song. Anyway, clearly successful, leaving the group, career decision. I do agree, Randy, NSYNC could have maybe done at least one more album together.
I think so.
I don't think it would have hurt him. But maybe, hell, it worked out. It was the right time. Justified was a high-selling album, 10 million worldwide. His next one, Future Sexy Love Sounds, the same thing. A little different, more club dance music, but hey, they were good, catchy songs. Same thing, a very high-selling album. I think, though, and I'm not trying to knock him. Like I said, I think he's the most successful artist to shed that prior image of boy band or whatever pop boy band group. I think he falls far from my pick, clearly. the 2020 experience, while there's some good songs on it, is part 1 and part 2. They weren't as successful, but I know they were released in a different time, though.
Yeah, you're comparing something that was released like in 83, 84, 85 compared to something that was released in the mid 2000s. Like the longevity of Michael Jackson and who he was. I mean, he has a lot more decades on, and to help him out, to back him up, rather than Justin Timberlake, who's started releasing music like in 2005 on his own.
You're taking this way too offensive, Pop.
Sure.
I agree. And what's cool about this guy too, I'll give him props. I've heard some songs off of the Man of the Woods album, different but works. 2020 experience from his first two albums. There's a growth, there's maturity, there's a difference in the songs. That's cool. Hey man, we get old. We can't keep singing about the same shit. Can't keep singing about dancing in the clubs and party girls and or things like that. Man of the Woods is a clear representation of that, and I think it's cool. I liked how he mixed the sounds and the vibe of that album. He's got that song with Stapleton, right?
Yeah,
or is that on my song? So probably he's definitely up there. He's probably ranked higher of our honorable mentions that we've listed. He's definitely up there, and he's probably higher than most people give him credit. I think this is a great pick, Bob. I just think that I chose the best one before anybody else could. But this guy's clearly way up there, and I love that he's shed that sound. I love that he's his own thing. And yes, Randy, he is a pretty good actor. He's versatile. This guy's, and he's funny. I mean,
and he never burned his hair in a Pepsi commercial.
Yeah. So this is a great pick, man. This is really a great pick. I just think it falls a little bit flat when we talk about legacy of music and career, not personal or stuff outside.
Or Neverland, never fucking Neverland, Joseph.
I think that Justin Timberlake seems like an affable guy. I think he seems like somebody you could sit and chill with. I think he's very relatable in his music because he puts his heart and soul in everything. You look at his concerts, he's great. I also think he had the foresight, because there are still bands out there, Backstreet Boys, New Kids on the Block, who go out there and do these arena tours, and they sell very well, and I'm sure they make a lot of good money off it. I don't think he would ever want to do something like that. I don't. Yeah. That's not his persona. That's not his.
At this point, if it hadn't happened already, it's not going to happen. It's not. And I know that pisses off a lot of fans. I know that pisses off a lot of. I know it pisses off a lot of NSYNC fans and that because the other group does it. The Backstreet Boys do. They do tour and do shit together still.
I think that he took a big risk and found some success, and he found a lot of success, and he only became more and more popular and worked with great artists, and why, I don't know why he'd want to go back to that. I don't
hold that against him.
Yeah. I mean, I would like
working with artists
myself. I know. I think that's why a lot of those guys like the Backstreet Boys, New Kids on the Block, or 98, like all of them go back and do these stadium type of tours because they don't have anything else. Like that's their persona, that's their style of music, that's what they're known for. When they try to go solo, they sang very similar, and people were probably like, well, what the fuck are you doing solo? If you're gonna sing the same shit, why don't you just stay with the Backstreet Boys? So I think it's really great of him, and I think that's what makes him stand out compared to your two artists, that he went in a completely different direction, and he made his own little spot for himself as one of the best in this hip hop and type of music, dude. And I think that's really commendable.
We're 2 for 2 on artists that left their band and made huge careers for themselves. One that I didn't mention before, I'm going to mention mine, but one that actually worked with this artist, Stevie Nicks, is another one I thought had a great career.
I had that written down, and I didn't say it because I was like, oh, I'm going to talk about her next, and then we completely started going off on Ted. I left her out. I love Stevie Nicks.
My dad used to say she sings like a goat, and like, so she is the goat, but
it makes me want to ride a skateboard and drink cranberry juice.
Stevie Nicks was great. Just had to shout out that name. We're going on to my selection, who's worked with Stevie Nicks, as I mentioned. One name, one selection. We're getting off Tiger Beat right now. We're going on to my selection is Beyonce. So we have to start. I'm getting ahead of myself. We have to start with Destiny's Child, a band managed by Beyonce's dad, Matthew Knowles. From the jump, this band was all about Beyonce. I don't know if you can say that about any other artist. Even the name Destiny's Child She was the child. She was the
because the dad was the manager.
It wasn't Destiny's Children. It's singular. Look into it. Anyway, Beyonce probably got some people kicked out of the band too. I mean, I can't confirm, but you know she ran that roster. She was like LeBron James when he got to the Lakers and got rid of Lonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram. You know, she was running that roster. They were a great band. I mean, Say My Name, Jumpin', Jumping, No, No, No. They had some great songs. Think of all the 90s all-girl R&B groups. In Vogue, SWV, TLC, Jade, Total. They all had talent. They all had talented members, and they all can sing, but none of those groups had a breakout star. Beyonce is the most influential, most iconic female musician of the 21st century. I'm not counting Taylor Swift. She's not married with children. She has time to write songs about everything she sees, hears, smells, and feels. So, you know, I can't count her. So when Beyonce releases an album, it's an event. It's a movement. She has that voice, a cultural icon with a dedicated fan base. She's influenced everybody from Rihanna to Lizzo to Nicki Minaj. So yeah, it's her fault. Anyway, Beyonce.
And we're celebrating this?
Beyonce is one of the best-selling music artists of all time. The recording industry of America listed Beyonce as the top certified artist of the 2000s with a total of 64 certifications. Her songs, Single Ladies, Halo, and Irreplaceable, are some of the best-selling singles of all time. My only complaint is that she was miscast on Austin Powers, but I'm just going to get that out of the way. Anyone who can stay married to Jay-Z and then put an album calling him out on his BS, hey, it's a really smart business move. This could have been terrible publicity and continuous tabloid fodder, but she manipulated the narrative and she sold records based on that situation. That's boss. That's business. That's someone who knows how to navigate a career. I know I'm being totally biased here. I don't listen to Beyonce, but I can appreciate and understand what she brings to the table. Record sales aside, I promise you that she's going to be out there in her 60s like Diana Ross putting out hits. I don't know if I can say, you know, for Timberlake. Obviously, Michael Jackson's not around anymore. Maybe it won't be all the single ladies. Maybe it will be all the single widows. I don't know, collecting life insurance. Anyway, but she will be out there. I want to say all the single ladies, that song is not just for women in the club. That's not just for women who are trying to catch the bouquet at a wedding. That's not just for, you know, the single ladies who have 4 kids from three different fathers who claim that song. That is a song about Beyonce. Look into it. That song, Single Ladies, is about her breaking out, having a singular career, and then running shit. So even her songs have this like subliminal or this suboral message about how excellent she's done in her career and how great she's been. And by the way, you can catch former Destiny's Child bandmate Kelly Rowland on the series finale of CBS's The Equalizer. Kelly Rowland definitely beating Beyonce in the over 60s demographic. I think Beyonce has, and by the way, actress. Shout outs to my wife, Jessica, because she says, you got to go with Beyonce.
Quit saying my wife.
My wife. So what do you guys think about Beyonce?
Go ahead. You
be honest.
To go before. Behave. You should have seen Randall. He was snapping his fingers and bobbing his head the entire time he was giving this whole spiel about Beyonce. It was pretty magical. Technical difficulties. You talk about Beyonce, the whole internet goes off, man. What the fuck?
Yeah, Joseph, by the way, we edited all of the small talk out, but Joseph was off of the Zoom for about 20 minutes. So he's back on. So we're going to
20 minutes. You think it was that long?
No, maybe about 10 minutes.
Like I was like 10. I was like, I don't know what the fuck happened, man. My internet went out.
Joseph heard Beyonce and he got up to dance and he fucked up his whole computer and plugged the Ethernet and everything. As I was saying, I think, you know, Beyonce wasn't even the best singer in Dreamgirls, Rand. So I don't know where you're getting off that she's a lead dog and all that. You know, she does have, and I'm going to get, I say this a lot because I probably am. She does have this sense of entitlement about her, and all her fans, I mean, not all her fans, but a lot of them seem to, like, you know, put her up on this pedestal, calling her Queen Bee and all this. Like, she's good. She's a great artist, but she ain't the fucking Beatles. Everybody can settle the fuck down. I think that she's a very good artist, but yeah, she's got this thing about her where she's like, she knows she's good, and she's like, oh my God, all about it and all this shit. Then she sings about Jay-Z being a cheating piece of shit, and then she stays with him. So, you know, she's not really the queen if she did that. I know I'm going to get shit on. Great ratings for that. She's She's making music that's not any different from what she was making in Destiny's Child. She just was extremely successful with Destiny's Child. She was the show. She was the lead singer. The other two singers, Kelly Rowland and whoever her name is, that she fired and then rehired somebody else, and then she was like, just stay in the background and hum. They put out a lot of great music, and she was the lead dog. She was the lead singer. She was the group. So she went solo. It's the same shit, man. She just rode her popularity. She didn't do anything different. Her music was very the same. And I know she does single ladies and women's empowerment. I think that's fucking fantastic for her. Like, she has a big fan base because of that. And I think that's really amazing. But I don't think she really transcended music. Like, when she decided to go solo, everybody was not like, oh fuck, there's no way she can make it. She's in Destiny's Child. There's no way she could break off from the band and become this great, amazing thing that she ends up, because she's already great and amazing. Michael Jackson was Little Michael singing with the Jackson 5, and he went on to become this superstar. Nobody really saw that coming. And then, Justin Timberlake singing with boy bands and being caught up in that whole humming bullshit, like the third member of Destiny's Child. And he goes and becomes this great hip hop artist. Nobody saw that shit coming. But to say oh my God, Beyonce transcended her music and she just broke away from the band and became a superstar. She was already a superstar. She wasn't doing anything different. So that's my big argument against that. And Jay-Z, I don't know what you got, bro, but you got something. All right, go ahead, Joseph.
Yeah, since we had some technical difficulties, I'm gonna try to get through this quick. I can agree with Bob. Beyonce as a singer has a tremendous voice. Destiny's Child was a great female R&B group. I don't think that they like the NSYNC, they could have done another 2-3 albums, whatever. I don't think they'd be together today. I think they would, or their albums would be far and few. I don't know if, and maybe that's the fault of her father. I don't know too much of the history, but I do believe that you said, Randy, that Beyonce controlled that. Her dad did. Her dad was I think her dad, but that kind of, I think, put in Beyonce's head, like, well, I'm the star. My dad says so. And he made the decision. Like
little league dads at the baseball park.
He made the decisions. He there's you can go back and read it. And she got away from that. I think there was some drama with him and her and the mother. I'm not, the family dynamic of this Destiny's Child and Beyonce's career, that shit can come into play too, just as crazy as Michael Jackson and his father. I agree with Bob that the music doesn't sound too similar. I know as she's gotten older, her sound has changed as well. I believe she just released an album.
I said it very similar.
I believe she just released an album this year. Just looking at number wise, and again, I know we live in a different time now, so we stream everything. So record sales aren't going to mean, they don't hold too much weight nowadays. And so I can't use the argument of, well, didn't really sell anything
against me for Justin Timberlake, sir.
I said the same thing, though. We live in a different age where people stream. We don't feel the need to buy an album because we're just paying for the streaming service. So we'll stream the album, whatever. It's saved in our, we don't stream it for free, but we kind of do. So LimeWire. She's another artist who clearly left her bandmates in the past. Her bandmates have released albums on their own. They're clearly not as successful. Kelly Rowland had that song with Nelly, which was fucking huge. Yeah. And so I think she found her own, but she's a better actress, Kelly Rowland.
Yeah, she married Roy Williams.
Clearly it's not my type of music, but I understand it. I understand that her leaving Destiny's Child was the thing for her to do if she wanted to, and clearly it's worked for her. She has this huge following, like Bob said. I think the songs are all the same. It is what it is. It feels like when Beyonce does something, it's because she, like kind of Bob said, the ego, she's giving you the pleasure of seeing me perform at the Super Bowl, because she has
the greatest singer in the world.
I don't get that feeling with with Justin Timberlake, or maybe I'm too young because Justin Timberlake's, more mine and Bob's generation. I was young, Michael Jackson, clearly I don't think, unless, people want to point it out to me, that's fine. I don't think he had that attitude too. But then again, it goes back to your dynamic. Well, he was always in his head. He's always a kid. So he always just did what people told him to do. I think Michael Jackson and Justin Timberlake were more approachable. And I know this world is crazy, so you don't rush up on people. And I know that's scary especially if you're a parent, I just don't get that vibe with Beyonce, which is weird because, Jay-Z seems like a chill motherfucker. At least he does. He seems real laid back. Maybe it's the weed. I mean,
I honestly, I do see your points on Beyonce having this austere, even Puritan sort of appearance in the way she does, the way she is as a parent, the way she is a dancer, as a singer, a very shielded sort of protective specter. And she is one, just like your selections, who bifurcated a successful career in a band and went on to sort of become their own personality, not just their own, career, personality, brand, institute, married to somebody famous, just like all three of these, selections we made. They're all married to somebody famous to keep up the stature, to keep up the career. Of course, maybe for love too. I don't want to, sound negative here, but I think with Beyonce, the fact that I think that she is such a hardworking singer, dancer. I know she doesn't write her music, but I mean, who does at this point with the selections we've made?
Taylor Swift,
she does. But, she doesn't have kids just like these other singers do. But I do think that Beyonce has worked hard and she's never stopped working. That's why she's been successful. I think you put her into any other auspice of could she make it as an R&B artist? Can she make it as a pop artist? And she probably would have never made it over that hoop unless she worked as hard as she did from the time she was young, by the time she was in Destiny's Child, to the time she started collaborating and being in this relationship with Jay-Z. I think she was worked harder than anybody else. And to top that out, she's a woman of color who had to really work hard to get to these charts, because were people buying her albums if she wasn't who she was? I don't know, but she's made a name for herself, and she had to make a name for herself while she was in Destiny's Child. And I think that's why everybody thinks she's so, stern and even somber in a sense, but she's just worked hard. I think she's just kept her focus, and that's what makes her look a little distant and maybe unrelatable.
First off, you're throwing too many big words at me, so I'm gonna take that as disrespect. No, we didn't mention that she's from Houston, Texas. So big shout out, man. She's from Texas. That's representing our home state. Yeah. That's big time. That's big time. She's up there with Willie and
I think
Billy Gibbons and all.
Well, isn't Kelly's she's from Texas too, right? Aren't they cousins?
And Kelly Rowland?
Yeah.
I think
nobody cares about Kelly Rowland, Joe.
No, I'm just saying, yes.
Nelly, please don't hurt me, Radio World.
Nelly cares about her. Come on.
Roy Williams, former Dallas Cowboy safety.
I think they're divorced, but
are they? Fuck, he still cares.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and nobody's questioning. I just want to say, we're not questioning.
Oh, she's a freaking superstar. We're trying to come up with a nitpick and all that stuff, but really, tell her to sell the fuck down, bro.
I still don't.
At the camera like that.
I still don't think that comes into play with my pick. My pick influenced your two picks, and it's still more. I think still the biggest.
He influenced boy bands.
I would say he did. I would say he still influences people. You listen to The Weeknd, or you listen to anybody on pop radio.
Everybody had him come out at an MTV performance and just dance. That's all they wanted. They didn't even let him sing. Maybe he didn't want to sing. He just showed up and danced. I just still think that regardless of, I know I threw the album sales and the singles and the number of this and the number of that for my pick. And I do believe those are strong credentials, but and so that's why I kind of feel like I know, but I know the digital age is going to come into play. I know we're in my artist was the early 70s and the 80s. So yes, I know that comes into play. Bob said that there's more generations to admire and listen to the music of my artists. But I also think dynamics and the world we live in for your two artists come into play. So I know that holds weight too. It's two different generations of artists that grew up with internet, cell phones and things like that. So it comes into play. I acknowledge that.
Guys, what are your last thoughts on these artists? Any last words?
I think they're three of the biggest solo for this topic, selling iconic solo artists who were in something else of all time. I think if we're trying to put that list together, I clearly believe my pick is number one.
We get it, Joseph. We get it. You said it like 8,000 times. We get it. Michael Jackson, number one. My pick, definitely.
Paul McCartney's after that. I think that these three are definitely on it, and that's a huge thing. All three of them, top 10, top 15, whatever you want to call it. These three are on that list.
Any final points? Just wrapping up here. Any movie suggestions, music, TV shows, just to wrap it up for the week.
I'm watching The Watcher. Pretty good. We just got done watching Wednesday. Wednesday was pretty good TV show.
Oh, I heard.
Adam Sandler. It was pretty good. Have you seen that, Joseph?
Not yet.
Come on, Joseph.
I will. Man. Why did you say Adam Sandler?
No, not Adam Sandler. The Watcher.
Oh, I thought you said Adam's.
I heard
Adam's
Family. Adam's Family. Yeah.
Adam's Family.
I could have sworn he said Adam Sandler.
Adam's Family.
You all listening at home, go back and tell us. Did he say Adam Sandler or Adam's Family?
There we go. See, just leave you two out of this run, and you're 2 for 2. You're batting 1,000.
I saw the first episode of the new season reboot, whatever you want to call it, of Criminal Minds. It was on TV as a teaser for everybody else. It's going to be on Paramount Plus, and I'm excited that show's back. Criminal Minds is one of my favorite shows. I was talking to Bob about this the other day. I think that show's awesome. Or Hawaii? So happy about that.
I was talking to Bob before you got here, Joseph, and how
I'm sorry, real quick. I never give music suggestions. Nobody's gonna listen.
Give them, man. Give them. There might be one person there that you're saving their life. Anyway, I was talking to Bob earlier about how I was putting together with my wife.
You should have just started calling her by her name, because now when you say her name or anything, say my name. You're gonna say my wife.
No, I'm not gonna. This is like, Jessica and I were putting together
your wife.
My wife. We were putting together a bed for my daughter. Now she's got a big girl bed, so it's kind of bittersweet because we were working on some stuff and then putting together a desk for my son for his room. So we're like, kids are growing up. No more. Little this and little that. We got to throw away the toys. We got to clean out their closets and make sure that we get rid of all the baby stuff. And so I'm hearing my son laughing downstairs, just hysterically. So I asked him, "What are you watching?" He said he was watching the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special, and he said it was hilarious. He says, "Dad, you got to watch this." So I'm putting that on my list.
Oh yeah, we got to definitely watch that. I forgot it came out.
Yeah, he says it was great. So
they kidnapped Kevin Bacon, bro. Come on.
That's our show, everyone. Listeners, we'd love to hear from you. Hit us up and let us know what your favorite musical artist who went solo is. Most importantly, let us know what you think about the show. You may reach us at formidableopponents@gmail.com and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook by searching for Formidable Opponents. We want to thank Creative Little Pill for her great artwork. Please follow her on Instagram at Creative Little Pill and let us know, did Bob say Adam's Family or Adam Sandler? We want to know. Please rate and review us on Apple and Spotify, and join us next episode as we debate best Christmas song. We're going to come out a little later on next week just because we got some out-of-town business to do, but look for us late next week for best Christmas song. So for Bob and Joseph, this is Randall. We'll talk to you all later.
Last Christmas, I gave you my heart, Joseph.
Don't stop till you get enough, Bob. Don't stop.
Number one album sales.